So hi everyone and hi ma'am. I'm glad to introduce you to ma'am who is Dr. Chinu Agrawal. She is a leading psychologist of the country and she is also the director of Feeling Minds. She has been certified by various well-known institutes and she is internationally accredited from the Gottman Institute, Beck Institute, Albert Ellis Institute to name a few of them. She is also a leading relationship consultant, so I have this opportunity to interact with her on Valentine's Day to talk about some aspects of relationships.
Thank you so much, Avni. And I'm more glad to interact with you, Avni Prasad, a psychologist in the making. She is just completing her postgraduate studies in psychology from the famous Christ University, Bangalore. And interestingly, she has done a very amusing and interesting study on non-mutual breakups. And the generation today, if we have to speak about their problems, relationship problems will stand out as the first problem that they would like help with. And Amni's research throws light on how people are coping with breakups which they didn't want, and what kind of feelings they are left up with to deal with on their own or with the support of their peers, and sometimes how it devastates them, and sometimes how there is also a silver lining to it. What is the learning that they have from these experiences, which have almost become inevitable for today's generation? So, Avni, so glad that you could join me on Valentine's Day, and we're talking about people who don't have a Valentine to roam about today. And they must be really feeling, you are in the college campus right now. So, what's the atmosphere over there?
So I was just walking back from the college and the streets are full with flower vendors and people are buying bouquets for everyone. And there are people walking alongside. I mean, they have their partners to walk alongside. Um, but yeah, there are some people who are also grieving the loss of the relationship that they have had. And being from this profession, also taking pro bono therapy session, I see the intensity of complexity this occasion brings to the life of the clients that we deal with, because there is certain societal expectations attached to these phenomena right now. So there is a mixture of both of them. Some people who are celebrating, but at the same time we often forget to consider those who are also grieving loss of someone during this time where they wanted to celebrate love.
Correct. And that pain could be quite intense. And at this time, they must be feeling really left out. And although they want to be happy and they want to be comfortable with whatever phase of life they are in right now, but I'm sure that a lot is going on in their own selves. And you try to find that out. What are they going through?
Yeah. So while I was like starting the research, I saw there was a lot of literature on the distress that follows the breakup.
Hmm.
And since the age of marriage in India is slowly increasing, and a lot of people are entering into romantic relationship and also parting ways, it was really surprising that there were very few studies to study the growth aspect of it, because it's
Hmm.
commonly said that we grow through what we go through.
Hmm.
So I just wanted to have an understanding about the positive aspect and the
Hmm.
post-traumatic growth that follows post such processes.
Hmm.
Um, Coming from the research perspective, research says that breakups and death of the loved ones are two main reasons of severe sadness in people.
Hmm. Correct.
And right, so breakups are also kind of grief. People
Yeah.
generally associate grieving with death of someone,
Hmm.
but it is a more intensified form of grief, because here the object of loss is still around us when someone
Very much
passes
so.
away. Right.
When someone passes away, at least there is a closure that it is a permanent loss. And although the person is going to keep on living in our memories, but we are not going to see them
Right.
anymore. And so there is a kind of a closure that we have to it.
Yes.
But here I think the closure part might be really challenging.
Yeah, and also, especially when we talk about non-mutual breakup, the person has who has decided to part ways, they have started the process of uncoupling before they have made this decision, and the
Correct.
other person feels very powerless and rejected. So most of the participants that I interacted with, most of them came from the place of rejection, worthlessness, powerlessness, and there was a lot of self-doubt associated. Also, we see that what we form opinion we form about ourselves is also guided by the significant others in our life, and suddenly the significant other is gone, so we start questioning the entire identity of who we are and what we were. So
Correct.
that is a thing majority of them struggle with.
Correct. And there might be, along with this, there might also be a lingering hope that, because they were not included in the decision of breaking up, or maybe they didn't want to break up, they wanted the relationship. So
Right.
there is a hope that that person might reconsider, might come back, we will get together again. And so that's the closure that we are talking about might be hard to achieve.
Yeah, ma'am, just as you mentioned, in my interaction with the participants of the research, a lot of people, they went to temples, they prayed, they thought that no, this is a dream, and the next day they'll wake up to their calls.
Hmm.
And this also delays the process of them working on themselves, because still there's this hope that is attached that maybe this can be reversed. So a lot of people continued that process of longing for them and trying something that they come back. I mean, putting status which is only visible to them to get
Hmm.
their attention, or
Hmm.
stalking them continuously on social
Hmm.
media.
Hmm.
A
Hmm.
lot of activity, they were engaged in a lot of activities in the initial period
Hmm.
breakup.
And this desperation might be making them feel, guilty or not worthy, and embarrassed about themselves, ashamed about themselves. So much of emotion is there. There is this dejection, disappointment, and sadness on one hand. There is also anxiety and anticipation of what is going to be there in their future, whether they'll have a relationship or not, or whether they are worthy of any relationship or happiness in a relationship or not. Also anger or maybe resentment, that why it did happen to them. And um, as I said, so many emotions to deal with, and that too for a youngster who has not been taught so much about how to deal with emotions, till now. And I don't think they will uh, get the support of their elders or parents that much, because the parents will be concerned more about, why are you even getting into it? Why are you not concentrating on your studies?
Yeah, and also, ma'am, in a lot of relationship, parents even don't have an idea that that relationship exists. So
Hmm.
the loss, I mean, when you have incurred a loss, even that loss is not real for the society, because the person didn't exist for the society. It was
Correct.
something you kept hidden from them. So it
Correct.
further intensifies their grief and how they process the entire feelings around it. And also, as you mentioned about many emotions, so also I came up with a lot of themes in my study, and it shows that initially they're taken by shock, because what they thought their world would be and now what it is, it's completely different, and they're
Exactly.
still living in that assumptive world, and it's not happening in the real world. So
Hmm.
that is something which is very shocking for them, and they have a lot of confusions that this person promised their lifetime with us, and
Hmm.
now the person is no longer there. And
Hmm.
also a lot of guilt towards their own self. I mean, why did I enter into this relationship in the
Hmm.
first place?
Hmm. Hmm.
Anger towards the partner, no
Hmm.
proper closure.
Hmm.
Again, symptoms
And
of
also trust issues,
trust.
their belief in themselves is shaken, their own decision making is shaken. that, why did I get into this, as you said,
Right.
and why did I not recognize that this is not going to happen? Why did not I see the red flags in
Right.
time? Why did I not withdraw?
Hmm.
All these questions will bog them down, of
Right.
course. So, Avni, in your research, when this is a problem, this is the emotion that we are talking about, and you know, uh, as in the grief of losing someone, which we were talking about,
Right.
there'll be people around. In India, we have got rituals around death,
Yeah.
which go on for so many days, almost a couple of weeks, and there are people who surround you, family and friends and relatives, and collective coping of grief is something that is available. And here you are isolated, you are lonely. You might have a couple of friends, and I don't know whether they are trained enough or they are aware enough as to how to help these people who are going through, or unknowingly they might even aggravate the grief by saying things that are in good intention but may not be what the person wants to hear about themselves. And so what did you find about the coping strategies? How do they cope?
Ma'am, so initially after the emotional upheaval, there were two processes which was happening simultaneously. They were trying to cope from it. So a lot of people, I mean, there were both adaptive and maladaptive ways of
Hmm.
coping. So
Hmm.
a lot of people distracted themselves by engaging in having casual hookups,
Hmm.
or just over occupying themselves with work or getting into alcohols. But
Hmm.
there were also a chunk of participants who were more mindful in their coping strategy, who
Hmm.
sought support, who seek therapy, and
Hmm.
also use creative outlets for their coping. For
Hmm.
example, writing it down or
Hmm.
dancing or just painting
Hmm.
it out.
Hmm.
And there was also a set of group who didn't do any action per se. They just were so overwhelmed that they didn't even want to do any actions. So I
Hmm.
encountered all the three set of people, one moving towards adaptive coping, one maladaptive, and one who preferred inaction in that moment.
Hmm. 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 So, yeah, adaptive coping will be available to many of them, especially since they are, already in an active phase of their life. But then the intensity of the loss, their own susceptibility and sensitivity to it, the amount of investment that they had done in the relationship, the amount of hopes that they had from the relationship will vary across the clients, I guess.
Right, right,
And, talking about it might be easier for someone. Some people might be open to help seeking behaviors, some might not be so open. I think there would be gender differences also in this. Did you look into that as well?
Yes, ma'am. So basically, my set of participants were those whose relationship lasted for more than 1 year. Because
Okay.
after 1 year, according to neurobiology, your ventral pallidum it starts getting activated,
Hmm.
which is the
Hmm.
area of compassionate love.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
after 1 year, there was different people who were there in relationship for 2 years to 10 years.
Hmm.
So definitely the amount of grief that the person who was in a long-term relationship, or also for whom it was a first-time relationship, was
Hmm.
definitely greater than the rest. And
Hmm.
one striking observation which I came across in my research was I had more number of male participants than female. And to me, I mean, mostly it's female who are more verbal about their experiences, but that was something which was outside my research question, so I didn't navigate into that
Hmm.
process. But for me it was like I had more number of male participants who were willing to speak out their experiences.
Hmm. That's a good sign because males are more affected because they do not seek help.
Right,
Also, they do not like to talk about it because of the cultural and stereotypical pressures.
right,
So, females are considered to be emotionally more sensitive, but at the same time, they're open to verbalize, they're open to express their emotions, they're open to cry it out, they're open to share it with their friends and peers. But I think the literature points out that males will be more prone to maladaptive coping, wherein they
Right.
would turn to substance abuse, they would turn to some kind of, consumption of alcohol, or, they might just discard their routine activities that they were doing. They will not study, they'll start bunking classes. And so I think, and active help seeking is absent in there.
Right. I somewhere found similar when you're telling that
Hmm.
to me. I
Hmm.
somewhere can trace that because the two people who said that they approached therapy were both females in
Hmm.
that study. So,
Correct.
right.
Correct. And so, as psychologists, we're going to talk about therapeutic interventions in a while. But do you think that talking about it on platforms like this, going out and conducting some workshops to help them build their skills, coping strategies, resilience in advance, what is your opinion about that? Instead of waiting for them to come and seek help.
Right. So, ma'am, this psychoeducation is something which I found as a very effective tool in all the clients that I'm dealing with who are somewhere dealing with their own breakup. So when I try to explain them, help them see how it is also a form of grief which is not very accepted, and it is not just a primary grief; it's also secondary. You lost your friends, you lost a part of yourself, you lost the entire future that you imagined with that person. So there are
Correct.
a lot of places which, I mean, a lot of needs which that person was giving you, which is not really fulfilled right now.
Hmm.
And a lot of spectrum of other emotions. So they are able to see that their behavior is not weird per se. A lot
Hmm.
of people say that why I'm so affected. I mean, I know that this person was wrong, yet I'm so affected. So
Hmm.
basically helping them with the psychoeducation, provide them with a framework of why they are feeling what they are feeling, and that is the
Exactly.
first step where they can move forward from. So I
Exactly.
think,
And validating their pain, helping
right,
them realize that this pain is real as well as natural. You're not
right,
supposed to feel nothing after
right.
losing someone, and if you are not feeling anything, then that relationship was nothing for you.
Yeah, right. I feel psychoeducation is very important in all these schools because uh, I was also talking to a lot of my friends who are in corporate setups and other places. So I see that people who have been very whose IQ was very nice, they landed up in good jobs. But
Hmm.
people who knew how to manage their emotion, they're able to sustain their position for longer, because
Correct.
that's a very important skill where you need to identify how you're feeling and what you're feeling
Hmm.
and why are you feeling the way you are.
Correct. And it's such a good thing that our country is waking up to social
Right.
emotional learning. And as you already know, that Feeling Minds is a leading organization who works with schools and colleges, and we are working with students of all age groups for all kinds of emotions that they go through from time to time in their education. And we are also partnering with NGOs like HEMA Foundation, where these programs are available at no cost to schools and organizations, where they can um, really have very interesting perspectives. We show them movies which we have made, and there is a movie which we have made on relationships. It
Okay.
uh, it revolves around students in 12th standard. And so instead of going and lecturing them as a
Hmm.
part of psychoeducation, we follow the experiential method. We involve projects, we involve debates, discussions, deliberations, where they can come out and understand what relationships are, how to navigate through them, how to identify your compatibilities, how to see through the adversity, and how to cope with it. How to accept themselves, accept others, accept life with its uncertainties. So all these things are a part of psychoeducation, which we need to spread more and more, as much as we can. I think it's our responsibility to do that.
Yeah.
in this field.
I think that whatever work you're doing is actually very amazing, because most of the people, when I ask the first question to them that why did you enter into relationship in the first place, and most of the people, they don't have any idea about what relationship is, what they should
Mm.
expect out of it, are they compatible. It's just that some of the needs were not met in the household, and they just, if the person is meeting one of the needs and denying most other of their respect and boundaries, they'll still enter into the relationship and keep holding on to them just to satisfy one of their needs.
Yeah.
So it's
And
very
attachment
important.
needs are natural needs.
Right.
We are in this phase, in this age where we want to have an adult attachment,
Right.
but the insecurities that they go with it make us desperate, make us, tolerate and accept much of the behavior which is unacceptable, traumatizing, which is painful, which is not dignified. And so, if we can help them to foster securely attached bonds, we can help them with the skills to do that even before they enter into relationships. I think a lot of pain, a lot of emotional distress can be prevented.
Yeah. Ma'am, one of my participants mentioned this thing that I treated disrespect very respectfully in my study, and I've
Mm,
quoted him in
mm,
my study.
mm.
So, because people don't, when they are so emotionally engaged into that process, they are not able to see it
Objectively.
objectively.
Correct.
So,
And that's what I mentioned to you in our conversation earlier, that, rational emotive behavior therapy and cognitive behavior therapy principles are also very, very useful
yeah,
in educating them and even as a treatment intervention, because we help them realize that although we wish, we prefer, we like, we want to have relationships, that's not a need like oxygen.
right,
And so, being able to differentiate between a choice and a demand, a preference and a demand, just because all of my friends and peers have a relationship, they have someone on a Valentine's Day, that's why I should also have one. And if
right,
I don't, then I am not a worthy person, or I'm not good enough.
right.
This inference can be so easy to be arrived if we do not know the difference between, you know, a choice, a wish, a preference, a want, a desire, and a demand.
And also this inference strengthens after that relationship breaks, because
Breaks.
then there was two themes that emerged. One was a theme of worthlessness. People actually
Hmm.
quoted they felt like kachra, garbage,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
also inferiority and inadequacy. Maybe I'm not good looking, I'm not earning enough, I'm not
Hmm.
a good partner. And
Hmm.
a lot of since if you already have these beliefs and something similar to that happen, it is further strengthened inside you that yeah, I am worthless or I am not good enough.
Correct, correct. And also, I think there is an aspect of normativeness to this. There are people who are neurotypical, there are
Right.
people who are, having all those qualities or privileges or skills that come naturally to them. But there are people who are having deficient social skills, and that is their nature. I mean, that's uh, not something, they might not be so communicative, they might not be so expressive, and they get a lot of bashing in the relationship, wherein there is an expectation from them to behave like it is normatively expected in a relationship, in which
Right.
they can't fulfill. And then when they are rejected, they really don't know what to do with themselves.
Right. I've seen this especially in terms of people who somewhere fall in the spectrum of borderline personality,
Mm. Mm.
and it's also very important. Communication is a very important aspect in any relationship, where your partner should know the kind of love languages you understand, the kind of person you are, what to expect when from the person. And I think only with that open communication will we able to move ahead,
Correct.
and people won't expect that okay, you need to behave in this particular way. And that open communication is somewhere lacking, and also because the social media have set certain standards for your relationship should be this way, so
Mm-hmm.
people have started expecting it to be the same way. So as you mentioned that your organization is doing such great work, I mean psychoeducation is something that which is actually very much needed in this field.
Yeah, and we want to make it affordable. We want to make it
Right.
accessible to people. We don't expect that, a student who is studying will be able to afford a 3 or 4 thousand rupees for a session,
Yeah.
and that's why we want to reach out to them before they reach out to us.
Yeah.
That's I think the need of the hour. So Avni, let's now have a little discussion about the interventions that we can do and we can tell them about through this platform. If there are any people watching who are actually going through this phase right now, what would be your message to them? What are the things that you suggest them to do?
Okay, so I would talk about my study per se. So in that
Mm.
we came about four therapeutic modalities and integration of them. So initially there's a lot of emotional things happening. So during that time, basically what happens is your thinking part of the brain is not that functional.
Yeah.
So more of emotion and acceptance based work where they
Mm.
actually come into the terms with reality,
Mm.
because it's very common. If let us say we have a dining table in the drawing room and we walk, we are cautious that okay, we'll get hit by it.
Mm.
Even when we remove it during Diwali or something, still our brain thinks that it's already there and we feel
Mm.
cautious.
Mm.
Takes multiple time for you to actually realize that okay, this is gone. So
Mm.
taking that time off, I mean 3 months is sometime you take to gather all your coping strategies, so just
Mm.
not feel very haywired and accept. Also
Mm.
explaining them the neurobiology of it also helps about how
Correct.
it's not
Let
there
me
only.
pause a minute and elaborate your earlier point a bit, wherein you said that, taking 3 months off, that means giving yourself time, not expecting that everything will get healed overnight.
Yes.
Accepting your pain, accepting that losing someone is going to be painful,
Yeah.
and giving that pain a space inside you rather than keeping pushing it away all the time, suppressing it, avoiding it. And most of the maladaptive coping strategies, they are experientially avoidant in nature.
Right. And
They
like in also in acceptance modality, experiential avoidance is the cause of more problems. The more you try
exactly
to suppress the emotion, other emotions will keep on coming. I mean,
correct,
sadness will be followed by guilt, will be followed by anger. So it's
correct.
important to just accept where you are right now.
Yeah, and when I was talking about the gender difference,
Right.
the boys, for experiential avoidance, they would resort to substance abuse to numb the pain
Right.
rather than feel the pain, accept the pain, and then walk through it.
Yeah, ma'am, there's a line which I beautifully I read somewhere. I mean, someone talked about how all the substances are pain numbing substances. So instead of questioning the substance, you need to ask why is the pain? I mean, where is the pain
Hmm.
lying?
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
that is
Where
how
is the
we
pain?
need
Where is the pain that you're feeling in your body? What is the shape of the pain? What is the color of the pain? Whether it is solid, whether it is liquid, whether it is moving, whether it is stationary, and what is this pain telling you?
right.
So accepting the pain, I think, very well put out by you in your research, that needs to be really taught, and that message needs to go to them.
Right. And also in the initial part, ma'am, I saw that people, since they were not from psychology background, so they used to explain the pains like I had injection like pain in my chest
Hmm.
whenever I woke up, as
Hmm.
if something is taken away physically from
Hmm.
me.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
basically helping them understand how attached the role of co-regulators and attachment plays in our life, and how these bodily symptoms can be dealt with, some somatic exercises that we teach in therapy. so that
Yeah.
it is momentarily it subsides, and then they make a sense of what is happening
And
with them right
maybe,
now.
some mindfulness acceptance
Right,
activities where we help them with soothing techniques, using their senses and, settling down, grounding, anchoring them, and helping them to see that, you are still there in this moment.
right,
This moment has its own reality,
right,
and we necessarily do not have to think about the future or the past all the time.
right,
We can relish the present moment even though it is difficult and painful at
right.
this time, you know,
Yeah.
and there is life in pain.
Right. And since you are also have done certification from Russ Harris, I mean, you would
Yeah,
be in a better position to explain the all the acceptance modalities. I
yeah,
mean, we talk a lot about cognitive diffusion, staying in the
yeah.
present moment, living the life with pain. I mean, you have to holistically accept life. You cannot just have the good parts and discard the
Yes.
bad parts of it.
Yeah. Russ Harris is a great teacher, and
Right.
I'm so glad that I have had the privilege of meeting him and learning from him. Yeah, so Avni, that was first, and you were going to tell me three more.
Yeah, so the first one was acceptance, and the second one was somatic work. After that, we moved to a lot of existential question that they were coming with. I mean, what will I do with my life right
Mm,
now? My life
mm,
doesn't have any meaning around it,
mm,
because they have made their entire life around this person. So that now they have nothing to do. I
mm,
mean, a person even went on saying that, who do I earn for now? Because it
mm,
was like, now we had planned that we will take this house, we will
mm,
build this place and
mm.
everything. So basically also clarifying their values, and helping them get answers to this existential question and know what the purpose is right now in life. That's
Correct,
something we need to work upon. That was one of the
correct,
findings of the research, of how we
correct.
can use existential perspective and breakup
Yeah, helping them get in touch with their values,
values.
exploring their values, deepening the engagement with their values,
Right.
and finding the meaning and purpose in their own life and in their, own experiences right now. Yes, yes. What else?
And finally, ma'am, it was finally when you have accepted and make sense of things, it was narrative therapy,
Hmm,
whereby it's not the event that bothers us, but how we store the event inside us. So
hmm,
it's basically changing our relationship with that
hmm,
particular event,
hmm,
because till now we have a lot of grudge, we have a lot of
hmm,
anger against that person, and we
hmm,
view that certain event in a certain light of it.
hmm, hmm.
So narrative therapy doesn't mean that you just start seeing it positively, but you change your relationship with that particular event. So that
Yeah,
is something a professional can help you with.
correct.
And
So, with your this description, I remember an anecdote which I sometimes use with my clients that comes from Ramayana.
okay,
So, when Sri Ram and Lakshman ji they came back to Ayodhya after 14 years of exile, they were going to meet each one of the people in Ayodhya. And so Sri Ram was heading towards the uh, chamber, the palace of Kekai. And Lakshman got a little perturbed with that. And he said that, are you really sure you want to go to her first? Because Mata Kaushalya has been waiting for you, and even her tears have dried up. She's has been in so much pain. And what do you want to prove by going to Kekai first? Do you really want to prove to the world that now you are Bhagwan as they are assuming you to be? What is it? And he became really angry at that point. So Sri Ram, he smiled and he said that, um, Lakshman, Kaushalya is my mother, will always remain my mother, and I know that she is in pain. But then Kekai is that mother who has taken the risk of getting criticized throughout the future of mankind as a bad mother for my sake. If it would not have been for her, I would have ruled Ayodhya as Raja Ram, but I would never have got the opportunity to explore my life, go through the adversities, help people understand them, and become what I am today. So I think I owe a lot of gratitude to her,
Right.
you know. And so, if this lesson we can come around somehow in therapy or in our conversations as friends with them,
Right.
this person has been a catalyst to your own personal growth.
Yeah.
This relationship had some lessons for you for your own life's journey, and if you can come to those lessons, maybe you will have gratitude for that person to have come and gone.
Right. Ma'am, some of the participant, I mean, I would quote some of the participants. Someone said that they learned that love is not just having people around. I mean, if I loved her, I should respect her decision. I mean, the highest form of love is just to let them do what they want to do. And one of the participants said that their growth trajectory was the steepest during this time. So everyone, despite they took they didn't take any particular action per se, or they took an adaptive process. After a certain process, they saw certain transformation that happened within them.
Correct. There are many theories of transformation. One of them says that, when you encounter darkness and then you encounter light and then you reflect that light,
Right.
you know so that process in itself, when you go through adversity, I think helps you grow throughout it.
Right.
And so I think people who are celebrating Valentine's Day today, people who are not celebrating today, are more likely to have tenderness, love in their own hearts, which is just waiting to be spread out into the world.
Right.
So that treasure needs to be celebrated, which they're
Right.
holding inside them.
Right.
So thank you so much, Avni. It was wonderful conversing with you today.
Yeah, thank you so much, ma'am, and thank you so much. I mean, I got to learn a lot from you as well.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.